Think about the richest person alive today. You probably picture someone in a glass tower, a tech founder, a man in a suit. Now forget all of that, because the richest person who ever lived had none of those things. No phone, no bank account, no stock portfolio. What he had was gold. So much gold that historians still cannot agree on how much it was. So much gold that when he walked through another country, he accidentally broke its economy, just by being generous. But he is only one name on a very old list, because long before there were millionaires, there were people who figured out something the rest of the world had not yet understood. That wealth is not just about having things, it is about controlling the thing that everyone else needs. Measuring ancient wealth is extremely difficult. Today we count money, dollars, pounds, stock shares, property values, numbers in databases. Ancient wealth did not work like that. It was grain stored in warehouses, land controlled by force, soldiers who ate because a king fed them. The first name is one you may have heard without knowing it. Richest Croesus. Croesus was the king of Lydia, an ancient kingdom in what is now western Turkey. His kingdom had a strange gift. A river called the Pactolus ran through it, and that river carried flakes of natural gold and silver mixed together in its sand. Croesus did something new with it. He created the first standardized coins made of pure gold. Not mixed metal, not a lump of ore you had to weigh and argue about. A stamped coin, guaranteed by the king. His coins were the same, every time. His face on the coin was a promise. He did not just accumulate wealth, he invented a new technology for moving it around. Then he made one very expensive mistake. He asked the oracle whether he should go to war. The oracle said that if he did, a great empire would fall. Croesus heard what he wanted to hear. The Persians captured him. His gold went into Persian hands, and the phrase, "rich as Croesus," survived him by more than 2,000 years. Jump forward a few centuries. Ancient Rome. In the middle of that world stood a man named Marcus Licinius Crassus. Crassus was not born the richest man in Rome. He became that. Rome had a dictator named Sulla who was executing his enemies and selling off their confiscated property at discounted prices. Crassus bought it. He built a private fire brigade of around 500 trained slaves. When a building caught fire, they would rush to the scene. But they would not put it out right away. First, Crassus would arrive and offer to buy the burning building. Over time, Crassus came to own enormous portions of Rome itself. The ancient writer Pliny estimated his total wealth at around 200 million sesterces. That was roughly equal to the entire annual budget of the Roman Republic. He was also politically powerful. Along with Julius Caesar and Pompey, he formed the secret alliance historians call the First Triumvirate. He was the richest man in Rome, but he was not the most famous. Caesar had his conquests, Pompey had his military victories, Crassus had money. So he did something that rich men throughout history have done when they feel they have something to prove. He went to war. It was a disaster. His army was surrounded. His men were killed. Crassus was captured. The Parthians executed him. They poured molten gold down his throat. Even in death, he could not stop swallowing wealth. Now we come to the name that stops every conversation about ancient wealth. Mansa Musa. He was the emperor of the Mali Empire in West Africa. He came to power around 1312. His empire sat on top of something extraordinary. West Africa at that time produced nearly half of all the gold in the entire known world. He also controlled something almost as valuable, salt. Gold going one direction, salt going the other, and Mansa Musa sitting at the center of both. In 1324, Mansa Musa made the Islamic pilgrimage to Mecca. He brought 60,000 people. His caravan included thousands of soldiers, thousands of servants, hundreds of camels. Each camel carried around 300 pounds of gold dust. Along the route, he gave gold away, to the poor, to mosques, to rulers he passed, to strangers who simply impressed him. By the time he reached Cairo, he had given away so much gold that the price of gold across Egypt collapsed. It took Cairo's gold market more than a decade to recover. He did not mean to cause an economic crisis. He was just being generous. Some estimates place his wealth at $400 billion in today's terms. 3 men, 3 different centuries, 3 different parts of the world. None of them became rich by simply working harder than everyone else. They became rich by controlling the thing that everyone else needed. Croesus controlled the river that made coins possible, the technology of trust. Crassus controlled land and fire in a city that had no protection from either. Mansa Musa controlled the gold and the salt and the roads between them. This is what ancient wealth really was. Not a pile of objects, a position, a choke point. All 3 of them, at the peak of their wealth, made the same kind of mistake. Enormous wealth did not make them permanent. It just made their falls more dramatic. Today, when people talk about the richest people in the world, they picture numbers on screens. But underneath those screens, the ancient logic still holds. Crassus would understand that immediately. So would Croesus. So would Mansa Musa. Wealth has almost never been about working harder than the person next to you. It has almost always been about finding the place in the world that everything else flows through. The first millionaires figured that out without spreadsheets, without the internet, without any of the things we think of as the tools of modern wealth. They figured it out with rivers and salt and fire and gold. Every time you use money, every time you buy something, every time you trust a coin or a card, you are standing at the end of a very long line. You are the latest version of a story that is much older than you think.